series. I'm really excited about this brand new series. I think most of you guys are going to be really depressed about this new series, to be quite honest with you. You're going to be so sad and so upset, but we're going to be talking about it for the next 4 weeks. And I hope that this new series will take your mourning and it will turn it into joy. Oh, wow. That was... Oh, thank you, Devon. Thank you, bro. That it will take your mourning and turn it into joy. That it will take your depression and bring you into a place of excitement and enthusiasm. So we're starting this new series, and it's called simply The School Bus. The School Bus. Okay. So I don't know if you guys are aware, but you guys are probably going back to school in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Does anybody know that? Like, I think we got some going back on August 9th. I think we got some going back on the 13th. I think we got some going back on the 17th. I think we got some going back on the 23rd. So, yeah, you're going back on Tuesday. So, we've got all this transition getting ready to happen, and everybody's getting ready to head back to school. So this new series, Back to School, the School Bus, and I get to start us off with it's not necessarily a boring topic, but I think it's something that we don't do a lot of. I think it's something that all of us don't do very well, and specifically maybe our students that are out there that don't do that. So here's the deal. I thought it would be appropriate to start this bad boy off with some jokes, some back to school jokes. Do you guys like back to school jokes? Here's some back to school cheese. Here's some back to school cheese. This is one right here. Listen to this one. Luke comes home from his first day of school, and his mother asks him, "What'd you learn today?" And he says, "Not enough. They said I have to go back tomorrow." Come on! All right. Okay. Okay. Why did the broom get a poor grade in school? Does anybody know why? Because it was always sweeping during class. Yeah, these are back to school dad jokes. It's good. This is a good one. This is a good one. Man, what's the king of all school supplies? What's the king of all school supplies? The ruler. Yes, this man right here. The ruler is the king of all. Get it? Get it? You want one more? Yes. Okay, let's. Oh, here's a good one. This is a nice long one. What kind of school do you go to if you're an ice cream man? What kind of somebody said it. Boom, done. Sunday school. What kind of a school do you go to if you're a giant? A high school. Boom, done. Gosh, you are intelligent. You guys won't get this one. What kind of school do you go to if you're a surfer? If you're a surfer, what kind of school do you go to? Nope. You ready? Boarding school. Isaac, killing it. Okay, final one. This is the last joke. This is the last cheese. What kind of school do you go to if you're King Arthur? Come on, over here, just killing the game. My Lord. Wow, so good. You want that to be my whole talk? It's just jokes? Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, cool. So now that we got that out of the way, can I pray? And we'll start this talk off right. Is that cool? All right. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for the opportunity just to come into this place and to have some fun, to enjoy one another's company, to joke around and to mess around. But also, Lord, thank you for the opportunity just to sit in your presence, just to be with you, to learn and to grow, and to set ourselves on the right path, on the path of righteousness, Lord. I pray today that, Father, you empty me out personally of every agenda or thought, and that you fill me to above and beyond with your Spirit. And that, Lord, you'll prepare every single heart, every single mind, every single spirit to receive the talk that's coming forth today, Lord. And we thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So here's kind of where I'm going with all this. I always find it super interesting this time of year because obviously you guys are getting ready to go back to school, right? Getting ready to go back to school after a long summer break, right? So most of you guys, this is what most of you guys do during these last few moments, right? You spend the last weeks that you have staying up as late as possible. As late as possible, right? You spend, not only do you spend that time as late as possible, you spend it with as many people as possible as you can. You try to hook up with as many friends as you can. Like, hey, let's hang out, let's do this, and let's stay up all night until we can't stand it anymore. And the next day, you're zombies, right? And you try to do that. So you try to hang out, stay up all night, try to hang out with as many people in the last few moments, and you do it whenever and wherever you can. It does not matter where you go. You just want to stay up all night, and you want to stay with the people that you're hanging out with, and you don't care where it's at. It could be in your house, your friend's house, your other friend's house. It could be running the streets. You don't care, as long as you're not home or having to even think about school, right? And what a crazy thing. Hopefully you're not running the streets. If you are, let me pray for you. You can come hang out at my house. It's okay. You just can't be super loud because I got to go to work. I got a job. This is what happens is you ride the freedom of summer all the way up to the very end. Like, how many of you guys are going to hang out super late the night before school? Come on, be honest. Be honest with yourselves. Like, be straight up honest. You're gonna stay up as late as you possibly. You're not going to bed. Mom and dad are gonna text you, or they're gonna call you, and they're gonna say, "Hey, you need to be in bed at this time." Or they're gonna come downstairs, or they're gonna come to your room. They'll be like, "Lights off. I need you to go to bed at 9:30 because you gotta get up and go to school the next morning," or 10 o'clock, or whatever they tell you, right? And you're gonna be like, "Okay, yeah, sure, no, whatever." And as soon as mom and dad go into their room, lights go out. Guess what happens in your room? Lights are on. And you're like, "Hey," like. It's on, you're texting everybody, you got all the things going on. So that's what's happening. So you're riding that freedom all the way to the very end. And this is kind of technically like this moment, this time for you and every single one of you guys, technically, this is like one of the biggest shifts of your year. The biggest changes of your year. In the sense of that, you're taking this freedom, like you left whatever grade you were in, right? You take some time in the summer, you're having a good time, you're enjoying it, and then you're about ready to embark on another year of school or a job or whatever it is that you do. You're coming back to another thing, and it's like a really big shift. It's a really big shift. You're going back to this the next phase of your life. And what I think is crazy is that, like, right in front of each and every single one of you is technically like a blank slate. Nothing is on your record, except for what was in the past, but that we're not going to talk about that. Nothing is on your record at the moment. You're a straight A student. Yeah. At the moment, you are the perfect student. You haven't gotten in trouble once. You didn't go to detention. You didn't get suspension. You didn't fail that class. You didn't turn in any homework. None of that stuff has happened. So you've got a blank slate that's in front of you, and you're in control. Every single one of you say, "I am in control. I am in control of what happens going forward." You're in control of what happens going forward. It's a critical next step for your guys' summer, the next step, which is the next school year. And guess what happens? You guys try to avoid it at all costs, right? You avoid it at all costs. Like, I don't even want to think about it. Anybody over here want to think about school? Anybody over here want to think about the first day of school? Not you. You do love education. That's why not you. I'm just kidding. Education is fantastic. And here's where I'm going with this. I wonder. I'm going to put this out to everybody. I wonder what would happen if we took a different approach to this school year. Hang on a second. Listen to me before you dismiss me. Because I know what you're thinking. Anybody in here by a raised hand, this is a safe space. I will not tell your mother or your father or your grandma or your grandpa no snitches, because snitches get. Thank you very much. And so, how many of you, with a honest confession, say, "I hate school"? Okay, that's probably close to. You didn't raise your hand. You're good. You love school, right? See, this side over here is all about academics. What's that? That's where he sees his homies. All right. So, perspective. So here's the deal. Listen. So most of you guys rose your hands. So that's about probably close to 70% of the room was like, "I hate school." I don't even want to think about it. Right now, you're mad at me because I made you think about school, because I made you think about the first day that you're about to walk onto the campus. You got your backpack, got your shoes tied up, got your lunchbox, walking all the way up, ready to go. Got my juice box, Capri Suns. I just had my breakfast. My mom made me breakfast. I'm ready to go. And you're like, no, I don't want to think about that. I want to think about summer vacation, 3 in the morning, texting my friends, what's going on, this, that, and the other, eating junk food, staying up late, Fortnite. But we're not there. What if this? I want to submit a question to you. What if this could be the best year you had yet? What if this could be the best year you've had yet? What happens with anything? And let me kind of take this the next step here. So what happens if this could be the best year you've had yet? So I've got a question for you. What happens when you and your family does something? Let's say you go on a trip. What do you do before you go on a trip? You get ready. You prepare. You prepare yourself, right? Do you guys make plans to go on a vacation or a trip? Or do you guys just kind of wing it? So you kind of figure out where you're going to go. You kind of know the general area, the place where you're going. You probably, if you're going someplace far and you need to get a room, you're probably calling to get a reservation for a room. You're making plans and you're preparing for where you're headed. You're preparing for where you're headed. How about any projects like that you guys may do around the house? Any handy people in the house? Like you like to do stuff, or maybe you're an artist and you like to draw, or maybe you're a musician and you like to write music. Do you sit down and prepare, or do you just sit there and kind of wing it? Some of you will wing it, and that's fine. But a lot of times you find yourself, if you're prepared and you sit down and you really set a plan, you find your best work happens when you do those types of things, right? So going back to school, I think is funny. This is what's funny about going back to school. It's one of the only things that most of us here do that we jump right back in after 2 months of doing nothing. Right? You take 2.5 months, more or less, and you do absolutely nothing, and then at the blink of a hat, at the drop of a dime, at whatever you say, it's all of a sudden, boom, I'm back at school. And guess what? We haven't done anything to prepare ourselves for it. Because we've spent all this time, specifically within the next 2 to 3 weeks of getting back to school, we're like, God, okay, here we go. Some of us are excited because we get to see our friends again, and we get to do all those types of things. My man over here loves his friends, and that's fantastic. But then there's the balance of everybody that's like looking at school as a giant burden. So today, I want you to consider a different approach to school this year. I want you to actually just think about it. I'm not telling you have to do it, but it's this. Here's the deal. It's not too late. It's not too late to get some mental reps in. Some mental reps in. So that you can start to get a plan of action for how you want this school year to play out. How do you want this school year to play out? How do you want it to play out for you? What do you envision this school year looking like? So I'm going to ask you some questions. Do you have any goals for your scholastic year? Are you trying to figure out what you want to achieve this year? Or what do you want to accomplish this year? You know, it's a big deal. It sounds super boring, right? Sounds super boring? Like, achievements, what do I want to plan? I want to achieve, sounds boring. But I'll submit to you this. If last year wasn't as good as you wanted it to be, it's because you weren't prepared and planned and ready to accomplish something. Any successful endeavor, it's true. Any successful endeavor, and this is just business 101. I'm a business person. I've owned a business since 2007. And so anything you do, anything successful, any successful business, anything you set forth, you have to have a plan before you jump into it. You have to have a plan. If you have a business idea, you have to have a business plan set forth with ideologies, ideas, bankroll, all the things, income, expenses, all that has to be put forth before you can submit a plan to a bank for them to give you money. You can't go to the bank and say, I got this dope idea. I got this fresh idea. Guess what? I'm going to be a shoelace guy. And I'm designing custom shoelaces. You got 100 G's for me? I know. They're going to look at you and be like, what? Because you don't have a plan or a purpose how you're going to accomplish that. What is your initial investment into what you're trying to get out? Now, that was super boring because that's, like adult talk. But I know that we can. I hope before the end of the night that I'm triggering a few things that you guys will want to take action on and take some steps on. So if you write things down, I would encourage you to write these next 4 little points down and on a piece of paper, on your phone. You can put them in your phone, and it's not going to be anything fancy. Don't give me. It's like I'm not going to give you this theological. It's super simple. Because I want you to be able to take it and actually apply it to what you're doing. If it's complex, you're not going to do it. You're just going to write me off because you're not going to feel good about what's happening here. So I'll need everybody's attention. I know it's difficult because we're having fun and we're full of food, especially the back row and the cheap seats. It's difficult to focus on me. But if you give me 20 minutes, I will be out of your hair and you can go back to all of your shenanigans and craziness. Does it make sense? So everybody commit to that? Are we good? Yes, sir. Give me 20 minutes and we'll get through it. So the first thing that I want to submit to you guys, shenanigans. You want to know what shenanigans are? Or I don't know. I mean, it just sounded like an appropriate word. I like shenanigans. So the first thing I want you to do is this. I want you to do this. I want you to dream it. I want you to dream it. I want you to dream it. And Proverbs 16:3 says this, is if you commit your actions to the Lord, your plans will succeed. If you commit your actions to the Lord, your plans will succeed. So here's what I want you to do when I talk about dream it. I want you to spend some time thinking about what you want to achieve and accomplish. What do you want to do this year? What do you want to do scholastically? Academically? What do you want to do and extracurricular-wise? What do you want to do with the time that you find free? Maybe it's get a job. Maybe it's get a job. Maybe it's something like, man, I want to start a band, or I want to start a dance group, or I want to do whatever it is. I want to start a YouTube channel that does this type of thing. So the first place is you have to dream it. Okay, you have to spend time using this mushy thing in your head to think about what you want to accomplish and what you want to achieve. The next thing you have to do to dream it is you got to spend time praying. So, does anybody here believe in the power of prayer? Anybody? Power of prayer? Everybody. Okay, we got a fair amount of people who believe in the power of prayer. You got to spend some time in front of God praying so that He can give you some of the topics and thoughts and ideas of what maybe He has for you to achieve. What are some of the things that He wants you to accomplish this year? Because believe it or not, God actually has some ideas for you. He has some ideas for you. He has some things He wants you to accomplish. Some of the college students that are in here, He wants some thought process to where and what you're doing as you head to school, as you head back to school. What's going to be happening? Where are you going? What are you doing? If you're not going to school and you got a job, God wants to know how are you approaching that day-to-day grind, and what are you trying to accomplish, and what are you trying to achieve to get to that point? You've got to dream it in order to achieve it. You need to spend time doing this. You need to spend time dreaming about what the success of those achievements and accomplishments look like and feel like. Here's the deal. You can dream, you can do all these things, you can think about all this stuff, but you need to spend some time reflecting on what it looks like in the future, okay? So when you're leaving that first semester and you've gone through all your classes or whatever, I'm going to use an academic example, and you've set a goal for yourself or accomplishment, and you said, you know what, I'm going to pull A's and B's in my classes, or let's make it a little bit easier. I'm going to pull B's and C's. I'm going to pull B's and C's in all my classes. And so what I want you to do is I want you to spend some time praying. I want you to spend some time thinking. And then I want you to spend some time thinking about what that is going to feel like. When you fast forward, 3 months or 4 months at the end of the semester, and what it's going to feel like to see your grades, and you see B, 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 C, B, C, C, B. And here's the deal. That's a very true example, and it's funny, but here's the deal. What are you going to feel like with that F? Because you've set a dream, you've set an accomplishment that you wanted to find yourself in this place. So what happens after that F shows up on your card? Are you gonna fold up and toss the dream into a big ball, put it in the garbage, and say, "Oh well, I tried. That was it"? Or are you gonna go back to the dream mode and see, okay, what did I do? Where did I go wrong? And how do I move forward? Because a lot of times what happens, this is a total side note, a lot of times what happens with you guys and what happens with people in general, quite frankly, it's not even just students, it's people, it's human beings. We hit distress, or we hit a wall, or we hit a disappointment, and we think that that's rejection, that we've been rejected by God, or we've been rejected by the circumstance, and so we throw our hands up and we quit and we walk away, because it's easier to quit than to say, man, that's not for me. And to be self-reflective and say, what did I not do? What was wrong with me? What did I not accomplish? Here's what we do. We point the finger. This teacher is a jerk. This lab partner was an idiot. I can't do my homework at my house because I don't have a comfortable desk. I can't focus on blah, blah, blah because the excuses start to come out the door. Is that anybody in here? Does anybody make excuses? I make excuses all day long. So what happens when you do that? So you've got to dream it. You've got to dream the success that you want to find yourself in on the back end of where it's at. And you've got to pray, you've got to think about it, and you've got to see yourself accomplishing those things. Amen? The next one, and repeat after me, say, write it. Write it. You got to write it. So Luke 14:28-30 says this, but don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin the construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there's enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money. Then everyone's going to laugh at you, and they're going to say, there's the dude or there's the lady that started the building and couldn't afford to finish it. You've got to write it down. Before you take one step, you've got to write down the accomplishments, the desires, the goals that you've set for yourself. Because what ends up happening, it goes from a pipe dream in the sky to my heart and what I really want to do, and it goes down on a piece of paper. And then it's real because it's staring you at the face. The words are there. I want to pull B's and C's. No F's. No F's. I want to pull B's and C's. And it's staring you in the face. You've got to take steps to write it all down. Once you've spent time dreaming, once you've spent time thinking, once you've spent time praying, you've got to write it down on a piece of paper. Write it down on a notebook. Write it down in a journal. Write it down somewhere so that you know what's in your heart. You're making a plan. Like this scripture says, you're making a plan before you get into the middle of it. Because a lot of us are super zealous, and we say, I'm going to pull straight A's this year. You are not a straight A student. You are not a straight A student, and it is okay. Not everyone is going to be a straight A student. It's fine. That's the problem, is we try to set these levels and expectations that everybody's this. You can achieve that if you want to, but not everybody is going to be there. Set the expectation where you feel you need to be. Be real with yourself. Be honest with yourself. It's okay. And your parents may say the opposite, and I'll probably get yelled at, and that's okay. I can handle it. I got thick skin. But set expectations for you guys on where you want to be. So before you take one step, write it out. Write it all down. You have to know what you want to achieve to get there. You got to know. And you got to write it down. You got to put it in front of there, because otherwise you're not going to remember. How many of you guys know it's hard to remember what you said last week when you were lying to your parents about where you were going? You don't even know what he said this morning, right? It's difficult to keep the lie up, even just in the natural, tangible thing with the relationships you have. Now you're trying to lie to yourself on what you want to do. And you say, oh, I don't think I said I was going to do that. I think I said I was going to do this. So if you never write it down, it never becomes the truth of what you want to accomplish. Write it down. You can write down your lies if you want to as well. That is a fallacy that you find yourself in. You will lie to yourself and you'll stare at the lies over and over again. I believe eventually those lies will become truth, because you're feeding your soul. You're feeding your soul what you wrote down, because you continue to read those things. It's what we said. The word goes out And if I continue to speak life into myself, if I continue to tell you, you are empowered and anointed, you are called. Every day you see me, I tell you, you are empowered, you are anointed, you are called. Next thing you know, you start to believe it. You start writing it down. You start, I am anointed, I am empowered, I am called. And you start walking in those things. I keep telling you that you're a businessman, that you're going to make tons of money, you're going to make millions of money, millions of dollars, you're going to be innovative, you're going to be creative, you're going to start to do things you're going to start to believe those things, and that life that I speak into you is going to start to go into your spirit, and you're going to start to see those things begin to manifest and come out of you, because what I've said to you is a word that's coming out, that's being deposited into your soul. There is power in our words. There's power in the things that we write down. There's power in those things. It's powerful if you decide to take the plunge and move forward in it. Why do you think books are such a big thing? Why do you think book sales are such a huge thing? You think it's an antiquated thing, right? It's a bunch of people writing words on a page, reading the book, people writing down their thoughts, because their thoughts have value. Those words have value to someone somewhere. Self-help books are one of the biggest selling items out there. Giant. Everybody's trying to get self-help. Why? Because we're acquiring knowledge from what was written down through someone's dreams, thoughts, and ideas. And that's what you do when you write things down. So once it's all in front of you, what ends up happening next? You can begin to take steps to prepare for what you've written down. You can take it from, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I want to do. Okay, now, how do we get there? How do we get to this point? So the next one is this, and repeat after me. Plan it. Plan it. Not the planet, Earth. Plan it. Okay? Proverbs 16:1 says this, is that we can make our own plans, but the Lord gives the right answer. We make our own plans, but the Lord gives the right answer. We got to plan it. So what things or what actions do you need to take to make this plan possible? What are some things that you need to be honest about yourself, that you need to set in motion right now, this week, these next couple of weeks, this month, to set yourself up for success? For example, maybe you're the type of person that's like, I really need an organized space to study. But your place is a pigsty. And so an action plan for you to prepare for what's coming this school year is you go through your space where you study or where you do your work, and you begin to prepare that space for what you're getting ready to do. You begin to clean it up. You begin to organize it. You get the tools that you need: pencils, pens, erasers, rulers, crayons, whatever it is that you use for your homework, right? You begin to prepare your space for what's happened. You make plans to be accomplished, to do exactly what you've set in your mind to do. You got to make those things. You got to plan it ahead of time. How do I get to where I'm going, right? Now, how are you going to put your plans into place so that it's easily applicable to your life? Here's the deal. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Like I said, there's some of us that are going to be like, I want straight A's. Be honest with yourself, okay? Don't be so hard on yourself. Start somewhere. Start somewhere. Set realistic goals. Set realistic things that fit your habits. You guys know yourselves better than you know anybody else. You know your habitual things. You know your triggers. You know what happens to you. If I come home from school, here's an example. If I come home from school and if I don't jump into my homework right away, and if I take time and I grab a snack and I warm up some pizza and I watch a show and I listen to some music and then I text a few friends, by the time we get to homework time, I don't really feel like doing my homework. Right? Sometimes that happens. So we've set ourselves up. So now we got to make those plans. We got to plan, how do we get to that point? So if you have a job, you've got to fit your job around your schedule for school. You've got to figure out how that works within your school life, right? So you'll sit there and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to rearrange this work schedule so that it fits perfectly for me to be able to still be an accomplished student in what I'm putting my hands to do. Does that make sense? If you have extracurricular activities, anybody like to play sports over here on this side of the room? Right here, some sports. We like to play some sports. So you're going to make some time within your schedule on how do those things fit into your academic life? How do those things fit into the plans that you set for yourself to have one of the best school years that you've ever had? Can you plan it and prepare for it? Can you set yourself into a position to be able to be successful with what you do? Some of you need to make time for Pulse. How are you going to have Pulse fit into your weekly schedule? It's in the middle of the week. It's on Wednesday. It's a school week. I got homework. I got a job. I got a job. I got to go make some money. I got to pay for my gas and my car and my insurance. So, it's no joke, right? So, if you feel that Pulse is a valuable tool in your success in whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, then what? You make time, you position and place that, you plan ahead of time for what you need to do in order to come into this space. Yes or no? Does that make sense? Am I talking to myself or am I just talking to the adults in the room? So, you've got to plan it. You've got to plan it. One of the things that you have to plan is you got to find out who's going to be on your team that can help you be successful. So one of these things is absolutely that. There's some spiritual aspects to that, but I'm talking tangible, practical aspects, right? Who's going to be on your team to help you be successful? Who's going to help you? Do you have some friends that are distracting? That are really good at like, hey, Delicia, why don't you come over here and waste your time doing this instead of doing homework? Yeah? All right. Do you have some friends, Emma Parker, that are like, oh my God, I got Snapchat. Let's get it going, right? I don't know. That's my Emma voice. That's my Emma voice. I don't know if it's right or not. That's just my Emma voice. Anyways, anyway, any of you guys over here have some boys, some homies of yours that hang out and just like to waste your time? Like they will just steal your time. And next thing you know, you're like, dang, it's 2 hours and I ain't got nothing done. Because they're just talking. Or they're just saying stupid stuff. Or, hey, watch this video. This video is hilarious. Right? So they'll keep you on the hook to keep going. So you got to find out, like, who's on your team. Like, who's really on your team. Who is going to help you be successful as you move forward. What family? What friends? Hey, maybe there's some teachers. I know you guys hate teachers. No, you don't hate teachers. You love teachers. There's some teachers that actually give a rip and will help you out to be successful if you plan it, if you prepare it, and you set them up. The next one is this. Say it after me. Share it. Proverbs 15:22 says this. Plans go wrong for lack of advice. Many advisors bring success. Plans go wrong for lack of advice, but many advisors bring success. Be honest with yourself about your plan. Let others see it, the safe people see it, so they can help you understand your weaknesses and your strengths. You got to be vulnerable. If you're willing to do this, if you're willing to dream it, write it, plan it, if you want a successful school year, if you want a successful year, if you want this year to look completely different what the previous 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of your scholastic life look like, these are the things that you have to get back to. And you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to share your plan with people that you're willing to be vulnerable with, that are going to champion you, not that are going to tear you down, but that are going to show you, hey, honestly, this is not your strong suit here. Like, you're not really very organized. So you may want to think about, how are setting up these organizational activities. Or they're going to say, you know what? That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Yeah, you should do your homework at the end of the night. That's when you're sharpest. At 7 p.m., that's when you set your timeline to do this. Yeah, you need to schedule everything around this. Or whatever it is, it doesn't even have to be all those things, but it can be whatever it is. You be honest with yourself and you submit that plan to people in your life. You submit that plan and you say, hey, take a peek at this. Tell me, where am I seeing good things? Where am I seeing bad things? If you're accountable to somebody else, you're more likely to be successful. Accountability is key. That's another aspect of this. Because you're sharing this with someone to say, hey, hold me accountable. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, homie, homette. I don't know. Lady friend, guy friend. Hold me accountable to this, because if I'm not doing this, that means I'm not doing what I set my plan out to do. So help me. Help me be accountable to the things that I put in my life. Pick someone, here's the deal. Pick someone you respect First of all, you got to pick someone you respect and that you can receive criticism from. You got to pick someone you respect and someone that you can receive criticism from. Because they may call you out, and you can't be all soft and butthurt when they tell you you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You can't be all hurt when they say, hey, you said you were going to be freaking doing your homework and turning it in, and you ain't turned nothing in. What's the matter with you? When they call you out, and you got to be like, oh, dude, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. You don't give them the excuses of why you didn't do it. My dog died. Oh, wow, that's a pretty traumatic thing. So that was excessive. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're allowed one dog death, and not turn homework in, but only one. Only one. Whatever excuses you come up with, you give yourself, but you can't do that. You have to have somebody that you respect and that you can receive from. And the other part of all this is not only do you have to sit there and share it and you have to put it all together, but you also have to set up like some follow-up meetings. This is like technical stuff. It really is. This is super boring. I know that. But listen to me. You have to set up follow-up with people. Any plan that's worth having is also worth revising. Because you'll find yourself in 2 months in a completely different position than when you first started. It's true. You'll be like, hey, I'm feeling pretty good at the beginning of the school year. I got all my homework turned in. This is fantastic. And the second month hits, and the parties were live, and the football games were amazing, and the skipping a couple classes was incredible. And then in 2 months, you're like, ooh, the beauty has worn off of my amazing school year. And so you've got to go back and revise, right? You've got to be able to go back with your accountability person, the person that you shared it with, and say, hey, how did I miss this? What did I do wrong? What can I adjust? How do I adjust these simple things to move forward in a successful pattern? You're not always going to get it right. So here's the deal. This is not a foolproof plan. 4 steps to a foolproof plan to pull straight A's at school. Not even close. You're going to suck sometimes. Okay? It's okay. Can you admit it? Can you dust yourself off? And can you okay, let me reset with how I set it up. Don't cave when you fail. Do not cave when you fail. Do not cave when you take a step back. You're bigger than your failure. You're bigger than the single solitary moment. There is more inside of you on the other side of that fail than what you think. It's a learning lesson. It's an opportunity to grow and to be better. Failure is only a momentary distraction to further success. It's a moment. Don't allow that moment to define who you are. Set up those follow-up meetings. Otherwise, you're not gonna be successful in what you do. Dream it, write it, plan it, and share it. None of this is a guarantee for success, just so you know. There is no stamp of approval. I will not give you $100 back if you don't be successful, all those things. I'm not charging you for any of this. I'm not charging you for any of this. You're not going to have a success in everything you put your hands to do. But at the very least, it should get you on the right path towards something, towards whatever goal that you set for yourself, for whatever thing that is that you want to accomplish this year. If you don't have something that you want to accomplish this year, I'm going to challenge you right here, right now. Spend some time. Think about what you want to do this year. Don't allow this year to come and kick you in the butt. Don't allow this year to come here and kick you in the butt without having some kind of a thought or idea. Don't allow this year to sneak up on you and to dictate what kind of a year you're going to have. Because what ends up happening is this. What ends up happening with these when we approach these types of life change things, we find ourselves on the other end, the victim of what the enemy has decided for us to have this year. So it starts with simple failure that turns you into a loser. And you go from a loser to you might as well just be a user. You go from a user, you might as well just be an abuser. Next thing you know, you've embraced all the taglines and lies that the enemy has said about you. I told you you were a failure. I told you you were a loser. I told you you were an abuser. I told you wasn't nothing. You try to set goals over there. What's the matter with you? I told you. If you take an approach that puts you in charge of the situation rather than the situation owning you, you'll find yourself with a better outlook and when heading back to school. You don't allow school to dictate you. You dictate the pace of school. You dictate the pace of your year. The school year and the school people, the facility and your friends aren't going to tell you who you are and who you're going to be. Are we okay over here? I hope so. Jesus is coming. You will find yourself being pushed around by what every wind or person or place tells you that you're going to be. Here's where you're going to go, over there. Here's where you're going to go, over here. No, don't go. You're good. I want you to stay right there. Stay right there. Thank you for trying to be an illustration. I appreciate you, man. You're my dude right there. But so I want to know this. I want to know this for each of you. Are you tired of dealing with the same thing year after year as you head back to school? Are you tired of heading back to the same thing year after year as you head back to school? You've been doing it the same way for the past 5, 6, 7 years. Are you willing to try something different? Are you willing to try something different? Why not? I'm submitting that to you. Why not? Why not take a different approach to this school year? Why not take a different approach to this next phase of your life? Why not take a different look at how you're going to tackle what happens this year? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? What can you accomplish and what can you achieve if you spend time dreaming, if you spend time writing, if you spend time planning, and you spend a little time sharing? What can you accomplish? What can you achieve? You're in control of what happens next year. I'm telling you this right now. No one else can tell you what happens next year. You are fully in control. When you lose control is when you've decided to give up. And then at that point, your parents, staff, and friends have all the control. They will tell you where you're headed and where you're going. You right now stand at the beginning, at the precipice, at the front of being in control of what the rest of this year looks like. That was a big word. Sorry. Do not allow your school, your situation, your friends, your home situation, or your idea of who you are or you think you are convince you that you don't have enough of what it takes to accomplish and achieve every dream or thought or idea that you have inside of you. God has placed those purposes, those dreams, those achievements, those thoughts, those accomplishments on the inside of you. He's told you what you are and what you are to do, where you're headed and where you're going and who He's destined you to be. Will you believe God or will you believe the lies that the enemy has for you? That's an interesting question. Who are we going to believe? So I hope that you're going to spend some time this week. I really hope you do. If you wrote it down or didn't write it down, that's on you. But I hope you spend some time thinking. Hope you spend some time thinking. I hope you spend some time writing some stuff down. I really do. I really hope you spend some time writing some things down. I really hope you spend some time planning what God has for you this year. And I hope you spend some time sharing it with people that you can trust. The people that will encourage you and equip you and empower you to be your best you for this school year. Your best you. Not the you that everybody expects you to be, but your best you. You, who you know you are. Who you know that God said you are. Every single one of you has a purpose and a calling for your life. And this school year is going to be as successful or unsuccessful as you decide it right now to be. You can approach this next couple of weeks with a blind eye turned or covered eyes and just walk into whatever it is that you're going to walk into. Or you can go with eyes wide open, fully expecting and knowing exactly what you want to set yourself to do this year. It's all about what you want it to do. Spend some time this week. Spend the mental reps. It's a thinking man's game. It's a thinking man's game. Thinking woman's game. Spend some time thinking, working over those things. And I hope that each and every single one of you will do that. Everybody okay? Everybody still good? Was that all right? See, I told you it was harmless. 20 minutes, something like that. Before I finish out and the band comes up here, gets ready. We're doing things a little different tonight, like we have been over and over and over again. We've been saving the worship set for kind of afterwards. And the reason we've done that is we want you guys to spend some time with what was just spoken, right? And then allowing this time of worship for God to kind of seal that thing in your heart, to kind of begin to like work in you, work in your mind, work in your body, work in your spirit as you worship God. Because we're just layering, right? We're layering things. And so when we come together and we worship and we spend those moments, I want you to think about this talk. I want you to think about this conversation. I want you to say to yourself, like, hey, what do I want to do this year? Maybe it's just a simple thing. Maybe it's as simple as saying, I just want to have decent grades. Maybe you're not ready to take that next plunge where it's like all deep, right? And like break it down, but maybe it's simple. I just want to have good grades. And you start talking, you just want to pass. That's fantastic, bro. You start taking that next step to how do I do that? So if that's what I want to do, how do I get to that point? But tonight when we worship, like, have a conversation. God's listening and hearing and ready to move in your situation as you set it into his courts, as we move into his presence. He'll begin to layer those things as we begin to move forward. I believe in this room, there's a lot that's been said about your generation. They think you guys are stuck in this, right? They think you guys live in a fantasy land because this is what your world is all about. They think that you guys have no depth and no dimension. They think that you guys have no vision and no thought for the future. I've told you guys I got like a man crush on a dude named Erwin McManus, who's a pastor at Mosaic Church in California. And one of the things that he said about this next generation and the millennial generation is that the world has no idea what you guys are about to unveil on it. And that's a positive thing. Because I believe this next generation of people are going to be the most creative, the most thoughtful, the most intelligent, the most compassionate, the most loving generation that we've ever seen. Because I think one of the things that you guys are all looking for, honestly, is you just want to be like loved. You want to be appreciated. And you want to be seen. That's what a lot of this is all about. We want to be seen. We want to be noticed. We want to be recognized. And we go and we try to find any way that we can possibly do that, how we can possibly find ourselves to be seen by the outside world. And I'm telling you right here, right now, that I see every single one of you. I see every single one of you. I see the creativity that's on the inside of you, the authority and the leadership that God's placed all over you. And as God begins to move in your heart and begins to move in your life and begins to move in the areas that you're lacking in and adds to it and takes away from it, he's going to see a leader like we've never seen before. A young woman that's going to go after what God has called her to do. Businesses, success, finances that you're going to bring in to what God's doing because your passion for him is wild and runs wild. But God's going to begin to do those things. I see creativity and thoughtfulness. I see a businessman sitting right here, right there. I see a guy who's trying to build something, build a brand. But if you build the brand for you, you will fail. But if you build a brand for what God's called you to do, you'll have the greatest success you've ever seen. Because when we build our own platforms, that's not how that works. That's how the world works. But if we build God's platform, he'll set us up on that platform and we'll be allowed to do greater and mightier things for him. If we put him first, he's going to set us up to be the most successful we can ever be. I see a businessman that's going to begin to do some amazing things for God. Those are the things that I see. I see hustle and grind right there. Hustle and grind that will stop at nothing to achieve the accomplishments that God has placed on the inside of her. And here's the deal. You need to start to differentiate between what God told you and what you want to do. the flesh and the spirit are at war. What has God told you to do? Put that first, and the other stuff that you think about is going to come through. If you put God first, if you continue to put the grind to God instead of the grind to the, stuff and the things you're trying to accomplish in the natural realm, you'll see that God will begin to bleed that over into all those things that you're wanting to do. That hustle that you have is not something that is like, it's not a magical thing. It's a learned thing. It's grafted on the inside of you. It's something that God put in there. You're willing to push through whatever situation and circumstance that's put before you because you know that you're called, that you're anointed, that you're empowered, that you are exactly who God says you are. A virtuous, mighty woman of God. That's what you are. These are the people that I see. These are the people that I see in this space, and in this place. I see a quiet strength on the inside of you. Quiet strength that God's going to begin to develop as you begin to forgive yourself and as you begin to process and move through the ages and stages of your life. But there's so much power on the inside of you, it's actually a little scary. It's a little scary to me. And it's not physical power, it's spiritual power. It's the power to heal people that are hurting and lost. And God will begin to speak into your life and begin to move in ways where He's going to begin to heal you and to direct you and to guide you into all the things that you've experienced in life, all the heartache and the hurt and the pain and the difficulties of life. He's going to use those things to position you into a place where you'll begin to be the strength and power to those who don't have it anymore. The moments that you feel the least, that's what you're going to come into people's lives, and you're going to pick them up. You're going to say, I've been there too. I've been there too. You will provide them strength. My God, there's power on the inside of you. There is an anointing and a calling on the inside of you to reach the hurting and the lost, to reach the disenfranchised, the disconnected, the cast out, the people who don't belong. You, my God, God's going to use you in such a powerful way. Man, I see you reaching out to people, and it's not to bring them in through the doors of this church or any of that stuff. It's to bring people into your circle, and that you love on them and you show them the love of God, because you know it's there. You haven't experienced it a lot, but you know that there's something there. There's moments where you've seen and felt the power and the presence of God, the freedom that comes in with it. But once you start to step into those things and God starts to heal those things, you'll take those experiences and you'll begin to run in the direction that you have towards those people that are hurting and lost, and you'll bring them into a relationship with Christ, exposing them to the greatness and glory. That's what this generation is going to do. That's what this generation is going to do. You're not disconnected. You're not stupid. You're not foolish. You're not lost. You're not confused. You're going to be the greatest generation that this world has ever known. You're going to be the greatest generation that this world has ever known. I get to be a part of it. Tiny little piece. But bro, I can't wait to hear what God does through you, bro. I can't wait to see the places God's taking you. You're quiet, but God's going to do something through you. There's a stoic power inside of you. You're the littlest one, right? No? One more lower than you. You've got like a quiet resolve, right? It's just kind of like there, you show up and you like don't say nothing, but there's like some power inside of you. There's like authority inside of you. There's a leader on the inside of you. That's going to develop with time. Your bros are going to kick your butt for a while, but you'll get there. You'll get there eventually if you continue to stay in front of God, continue to walk on the paths of righteousness, continue to allow God to speak to you and to move in your life. You're going to see God move you into those avenues and those places where you'll begin to learn and grow and become the leader that God's called you to be. You don't have to lead thousands of people, hundreds of people, tens of hundreds of people. You may just only lead one, but that doesn't mean you're not a leader. It doesn't mean you're not a leader. You guys want to worship? At least one song? I think I went way over my time. Yeah, I went way over my time. I'm going to let you guys pick the song, so I want everybody to stand up.